Thanks. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us so early. What a nice room. Look how well-dressed everyone. You would think they all had Rent the Runway subscriptions.
Hopefully there's a few subscribers in this audience.
Speaking of, who are you wearing?
Rent the Runway, of course.
Of course.
But I actually own this jacket. This is a Veronica Beer jacket. Because I'm renting, I can splurge on some investment pieces. So this one I own.
Okay, and you're gonna ask me who I'm wearing?
It's
not Rent the Runway.
Yeah, not yet.
All right,
one day you will be wearing Rent the Runway.
That's where I want to start. Because you know what, I think the experience, I just moved, and I live right across the street from a Rent the Runway, which is amazing. It's game-changing. I've had to move some finances around so my wife can splurge, but I want to do that too. So, you know, when in the time horizon do you think that might be?
We will get to it. I think right now we know we have such an incredible opportunity dressing women here in the US and eventually around the world. And you know, the stat that kind of we go back to kind of make sure that we feel great about that decision is pre-casualization of the workplace. So remember, we all used to have to get a lot more dressed up to go to work, and then kind of starting around the year 2000, the tech industry, and then kind of every industry has followed in wearing, you know, more casual clothes. So we used to spend, as women, 2.5% in that kind of 2000 timeframe of our take-home pay on getting dressed for work. Now, flash forward to this great casualization of the workforce, we're now spending 6.5%. So while it seems great, for us as women, there's even a higher tax of showing up for work every day and getting dressed. And it's partly because we're wearing separates. And so, you know, of course, heaven forbid we wear the same separate 3 days in a row. People would think we're clinically insane. There's just more pressure on women to show up. So, you know, we feel like that's a huge tax on women, and that what we're really trying to do is remove the burden of ownership and make it easier for her to get dressed every single day.
It's a great mission. I'll be patient.
Yes, we'll get there, I promise.
No problem.
Not that you're not a priority, but you're sorry, men, you're a secondary target for us right now.
That's okay. And it is a tall hill to climb just to make sure that for women, you have all solutions for all occasions.
Yeah.
And that's something that you've kind of recently stepped into.
Yeah.
So what's been the consumer response to that? And then we'll dig into how you find those consumers and you know, how you get the right message in front of them at the right time.
You know, personalization was mentioned in the opening remarks, and I think we're all trying to figure out what that means for our brand and for our business. You know, the incredible thing about what's happened with our business moving from more of a kind of one-time purchase to dress someone for a special occasion to the subscription model, which is, you know, the kind of high growth, quickly accelerating part of our business, is we used to dress someone a couple times a year. Like in our best case scenario, and obviously we had people who used us many, many, many times a year, but really we would dress her for a black tie event, a big gala, a special moment, and we collected a ton of data around those few times. But there's only so much data that you can get. And also the data was highly skewed, meaning you all know how you want to dress for certain occasions there's a context around it that isn't very easy to extrapolate of how you want to show up in life every day. So flash forward to now with our subscription business, where our most engaged users are wearing Rent the Runway 120 days a year. And every single time that they send something back to us, like when I return this dress tomorrow, we ask you a set of structured data questions around, did you love the dress? Did you just like it? How did it fit? Was it too tight? Did it not zip to the right, you know, just, it's kind of like a rabbit hole of structured data that helps us as a company make sure that we're producing the quality of experience that we want. It helps us from a buying perspective and figuring out what we need to buy to have the best assortment possible. But really the magic in it is it's allowing us to better personalize the experience. So we've moved to a world where really user level personalization, you know, it's an infinite closet. We partner with over 600 designers and growing. So the closet is just expanding. And so, you know, we joke internally, it should feel infinite from a consumer value prop, but it should feel like a magic little elf came in and just picked just the right things for you for that day for what you have going on in your life. So I think, you know, personalization is at the core of what we've always tried to do at Rent the Runway. We just feel like we have such a bigger opportunity to do it really well with the scale of data that our subscriber is willing to give us.
I like Infinite Closet. That's a nice offshoot brand. That's a great name.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've ever, I mean, we have 2 facilities now, and they're literally, you know, we've had some videos, so check it out if you haven't seen it, but it's like Willy Wonka for clothes. I mean, it's like no fulfillment center that you've ever seen in your life.
So let's talk a little bit about, you know, how you're acquiring customers. So what did you do to communicate to your fans that you were, you know, changing or enhancing your model, and then, you know, what's some of the best practices that you use to find your customers today?
So we have been really fortunate, you know, from the beginning of the business, and that really all of our growth has been organic. So 94% of our customers throughout time have come through us from good old-fashioned word of mouth, and it's not even online referral or social posts. It's more what I would call like the old school word of mouth, meaning the original business model of renting for a special occasion grew, I call it like, you know, the referral on the dance floor while the music's blaring. You know, you were at a wedding, you were wearing Rent the Runway, someone was like, you look great. And instead of, in that moment, she could have just said, thank you. Or, oh, thank you, it's, you know, Derek Lamb, right? And kind of shown off the brand. Instead, she chose, thank God, it makes me realize how incredible women are and how much we really want to help each other. She turned into like an infomercial shouting above the band, like, oh my God, it's Rent the Runway, it's so awesome, I couldn't pick. You know, she was really this incredible advocate for us. And I think it's partly because it's a new behavior, and I think it's kind of the same psychology of when someone compliments you on something that you got on sale, or that someone, like you find yourself telling the person way more information than you meant to, but it's because you feel passionate about it and you feel like you should pass on that value, you know? And so that's always how the business has grown. Flash forward to subscription, you know, we hoped with her wearing Rent the Runway 120 days a year, you know, in some moments we were like, are we gonna lose that? You know, we're such a part of her daily utility, is she gonna kind of stop telling people about Rent the Runway? And that was a real question that we had as we were thinking about how we're gonna continue to scale a subscription business. The good news is it's only 10x, right? Sure. And so, you know, what's happened is, where do we all go? The majority of our lives, we go to work, and the small talk of offices everywhere across industries are the 2 W's, the weather. We all like to talk about the weather. Oh, it's raining, it's gonna rain, it's hot, it's poor. And what we're wearing. Like, no matter what, your colleagues notice almost more than like your significant other or your family what you're wearing, because we all see each other 5 days a week. And so what's happened is someone will become a subscriber in an office. They will show up wearing Rent the Runway, and inevitably they'll be wearing something slightly more bold, color, print, embellishment, and so their colleague will be like, you look great. What do you do? And then, you know, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm on Rent the Runway. So to the point where there's Rent the Runway Slack channels within offices, there's kind of Rent the Runway communities on college campuses, within companies. So it's just incredible for us to see the broader community of Rent the Runway kind of come alive in these micro communities, and, you know, they are driving our growth for us in a really, really massive way.
I really love this. You know, over the next 2 days, you're going to hear about customer acquisition tactics and what you should be doing digitally, and, you know, all of the highest efficacy ways to attract customers. But you keep coming back to traditional, which is a great narrative to talk about today. And now you're brick and mortar. So let's tell folks about, you know, there's one across the street from me. Yes. You have a flagship store in San Francisco. Yep. Let's talk a little bit more about your brick and mortar strategy.
So we have 5 stores, and we've had the stores for some time, but really they've changed as our business has changed. So they went from more of a showroom model where you went in to try on a dress or several dresses to figure out what you wanted to book for that black tie event or wedding. And basically what happened is we started to see people returning after their event to our store. We're like, that's kind of weird. We gave them a label to just give it to UPS, and, you know, the majority of our customers are working women, so they're going to work. They could have dropped it off in the mailroom at work. And, you know, we just continued to see this behavior without incentivizing it. And then when we launched a subscription business, we saw this behavior even more, because if you don't know our program, our kind of primary program is called Unlimited, and you have 4 items where you control how long or short you keep them. So you're kind of on constant rotation. And so we found people coming in to deliver so they could pick their next thing. So basically in our stores, in the past 2 years, we've grown transactions 10x. because we went from, you know, appointment business where we were booking dresses for a special occasion to really our stores being an extension of our network and really kind of a service center. And then we built self-service technology because we couldn't keep up with the traffic and the level of staffing that we would need to handle the volume of women trying to access the 5 stores that we had. So we built the ability, if you're a subscriber, you can come into our store, I'd have this dress in my, you know, purse, I'd scan it in, my slot opens, and it's essentially meant to be a dream closet on demand for you as a customer. So if I'm a subscriber, then my slot's open, I go to the rack, there's no tags, there's no prices, I pick what I want, I scan my app, I scan the piece of clothing, and I walk out the door. So we've said we've legalized shoplifting. It's kind of this magical, you know, very different type of retail experience where your just price is not in your consideration set.
Are there the Runway customers here? Just show of hands.
A few.
Okay, not bad.
Amazing.
Let's convert a few more.
I know, yeah.
So describe that experience. It might be hard for someone to actually visualize what it's like to basically walk in, grab clothes, and walk out.
I think, you know, big picture, I think that we have all been trained to be highly rational around what we buy, right? And that we buy the black jacket. If you go in most people's closets, and we have, it's a lot of black, navy, khaki, white. It's things that, you know, you maybe went in the store and there was a hot pink version of this jacket, but you're like, I can't buy that. I'm only gonna wear that 1 or 2 times. And I think women are intrinsically smart and they know how to think about assembling their wardrobe. The other piece of it is even with that kind of discipline that we put on ourselves around what we buy, 80% of a woman's closet is worn 3 times or less, which is it's a horrible feeling. We all know that feeling of opening the closet, a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear. It's essentially a storage facility in the middle of our bedroom or our home, right? And so I think everyone feels...
Someone was like, preach.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone feels that sense of ick of just that underutilization. It just doesn't make sense. So basically, when you start a subscription to Rent the Runway, we're just removing that rationality. The average subscriber tries 15 new brands in her first 3 months. Most of our inventory is color, print, embellishment. It's bold stuff that doesn't make sense to own. And I think what happens is she tries a bunch of things, and there's that kind of thrill of discovery and kind of getting out of her comfort zone. And I would say if you polled our subscribers right now, or even the people in the room, I would say half would tell you the very emotional reason why they love Rent the Runway. Like, I've never felt more confident. I used to, I was feeling weird about my body after having a baby, and there's so many emotional things about clothes that are just, I think, tied into our psyche. And then I would say half the other people would say, it's so convenient, it's made my life 10x easier. So I think we really are going after both pillars. We know it has to be magical, it has to unlock joy in her life, it needs to feel better than shopping, but then it has to be quick, easy, super convenient. I mean, our customer is a busy working woman. We have a super diverse customer base, but the commonality is time is her most valuable asset. And so everything that we do as a company is how can we make the experience as magical and convenient as possible.
So this has really far-reaching implications across multiple industries. So you talked about all the consumer data that you have now with your customers. What they wear, why they wear it, why they don't like it, what they wish they had. For me, for example, right?
Yeah.
I'm cheating a little bit, but this shirt zippers. I know.
Love that.
Right? So that's easy because you can taper,
Yeah.
and the time it takes to button, this is going to sound really petty, but the time it takes
it's convenient.
to button every button, especially
Zippered shirts, everyone. That's a new thing.
Okay, all right, so when you do the men's thing,
okay.
We'll talk.
Good.
But the R&D implications. So the fashion brands, are they looking at you like, okay, this is awesome, this is a great place for us to figure out how to better service customers, or are they like, holy crap, no one's actually buying the clothes anymore, they're just renting them, and what does that mean?
A great question, and I would say it's gone in kind of 3 phases. I would say the first phase of building the company, inventing this new behavior, figuring out how to be the world's largest dry cleaner, protect and maintain clothes at this scale, there was a lot of skepticism from brands. I think people really, and I'm sure you guys all see this in partnerships, sometimes people are just in the zero-sum game mindset. This is gonna take from me. There's no way that we both can create value in this ecosystem. So I would say we struggled with that for probably the first 3, 4, 5 years. You know, our commitment though was to never take a shortcut, meaning we didn't buy from third parties, we didn't find the inventory any other way. Like, we went the old school hard way, which is we're never gonna carry a brand unless the brand is 100% on board with what we're doing and they believe in it, or at least they're willing to give us a chance to show that we can provide value. And that took us a fair amount of time, but now I would say the second phase was everyone was more interested, willing to test or give us inventory. They were like, okay, I see you're onto something, okay. And now the third phase is what I would call like kink it enough, which is actually, someone just pulled for me, Ralph Lauren just mentioned us in their earnings call yesterday, because we have 3 of their brands now through our platform program, Club Monaco, Lauren. And you know, it's just exciting, I think, to see that evolution and for the partners to realize that we provide really tremendous value. And I would summarize that value as we're a new distribution partner, so while their traditional distribution partners may not be headed in the right direction, we're buying up, we're growing, so we need more, and we're willing to pay for that. So we can help grow their business in kind of the traditional way, traditional wholesale way. We are giving them access to a new customer. So, you know, I think we have many people who are like the idea of brands, but really want to try them and want to be exposed to them. So, you know, many of our brands have done independent studies to be able to prove that we are introducing someone to a brand, then they fall in love with that brand, they understand how it fits them, and then they turn into a customer. And then the third piece is, which you touched on, which is just really inventory IP. So traditional retailers that they work with will give them sales data. You know, how well did this do? Did it, you know, what was the return rate on it? But that's about all they get, right? And they've had to manage their business with just that data. We show up and we're like, we don't actually have any sales data, but we have this treasure trove of other data around fit, what people responded to, level of reviews on something. Really, I mean, our customers will give us their bra size and their weight. And so, you know, one example, Tanya Taylor is a designer that we love and we've really grown our partnership with her. And we saw with her that she had an incredible fit rate at like 8, 10, and 12. At a place where some other designers start to get a little shakier, where they just don't, they're not as consistent with fitting someone who identifies as an 8, 10, 12. So we said to Tanya, we think you need to go higher. Like, you could really have a size inclusive business. Like, go after that. Your fit is really great. So she decided to launch size inclusive. She goes all the way up to, I think, a 26 now. And we were the first people to carry that, but that's now a third of her business. So she created a whole new business line from the insights of demand generated in a rental ecosystem. So I think, you know, our partners are incredibly smart. They're incredibly forward thinking. Like, we're not talking anyone into anything anymore. I think part of it is, I can try to give us credit as a company. I won't do that. I really think it's consumer behavior. They are seeing it with their own eyes. They're seeing women in their office walk in with a Rent the Runway bag. They're hearing people talk about it. Like, consumer behavior has shifted. So brands are realizing, I need to get involved in this. Like, my brand has value in this ecosystem and I need to play in it.
Well, I'll do it for you. You have democratized high fashion. You've provided tremendous scale for companies that may never, ever be able to talk to these customers. You're a unicorn and you're just getting started. It's a great story. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.